You guys, this is the part that honestly gave me chills. Stephanie tried to do something good for the kids, which in theory should be great. But somehow she still managed to wrap it in controversy like it's her personal brand. Because she only took the daughters again and left every single boy behind. And the internet was like, why? Why is this a pattern? Why does this keep happening? And most importantly, why is Stephanie acting like this is a normal mothering behavior? No, because what? At first glance, you'd think maybe the boys were sick, maybe there was a scheduling issue, maybe, I don't know, something unavoidable happened. But then the more details she dropped, the more the entire situation started to feel intentional, calculated, like a choice she keeps making over and over again. And this is where everything shifts. So picture this. And I want you to really imagine it with me because this is where my jaw did a full Olympic dive into the floor. Thanksgiving is over. The kids have been trapped inside that tiny, chaotic motel room for days. Days. And instead of making it up to them with Abonair, the trip she hyped, dangled, breadcrumbed, practically marketed it like it was going to be the family's redemption arc, she suddenly pivots like she just remembered her bank account was allergic to spending. She doesn't want to spend money. She doesn't want to commit to anything that requires effort, planning, or literally one single dollar leaving her account. So she does what Stephanie always does when responsibility taps on her shoulder. She goes with the cheapest, bare minimum option she can find. A free entry day at the Rice Museum. And listen, I'm not even going to lie. For once, the kids actually look a tiny bit happy. Like, not fully healed, not spiritually revived, but at least their faces weren't screaming, "Get us out of this motel." They were walking around looking at rocks, actual rocks, and somehow that was still better than anything they've experienced in weeks. So Stephanie posts the pictures and she captions them in this soft, nostalgic, almost manipulative tone, like she's narrating the trailer of a family friendly Disney movie. Little day trip to the Rice Museum with my cuties. It was beyond weird being somewhere that held much memories for me as a child. Watching my minis walk around, reminiscing, suddenly I have my own littles to share this experience with.
All right, y'all. The Resilient Jenkins have done it again. They've done some BS, so let's talk about it. All right, first things first. No, they did not take the children to Urban Air. They took the children to the Rice Museum. What the F is that? Now, I know them children were thinking when they walked in there, God damn, she done bamboozled us once again. Stephanie, you took the children to go look at things they could see outside. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's okay to take your kids on a little museum trip, but you have been promising your children that you're gonna take them to Urban Air and you still have not done that. So it's like, why? And you bragging about having all this money, girl, so where's it going to? Because you're going to somewhere free. The museum is free, boo. Oh, and to top it off, they did not take Atlas. But hey, at least she got him out the motel or something. Just stop publicly promising your children that you're going to do things for them when you're not going to do them, though. So disappointing.
Okay, cute, adorable, sentimental. But you guys, this is where my eyeballs started twitching because the photos only show three kids, her three daughters, and we all of us know that they live in that motel room with five children. So where were the boys? Why weren't they there? Why does every supposedly wholesome family outing magically transform into girls only the moment the camera comes out? Why is motherhood suddenly a gender exclusive event in her household? This is the part that made everyone pause, rewind, squint, and go, no, because something is off here. When the comments started asking the obvious questions, where are the boys? Stephanie doesn't even wait a full breath. She jumps in immediately like she had the excuse drafted, saved, laminated, and ready to whip out the moment somebody opened their mouth. She comments, "Before you go assuming I only take the girls places, Booba's fighting a cold and this is Dishon's bio mom's weekend."
Stephanie Jenkins, why did you not take your boys with you today to the Rice Museum? Why? You are posting pictures of your daughters everywhere and you're so proud, but somehow you never, before you come for me saying, she can't post pictures of Deshaun for legal reasons, I know, but somehow she never wants to take Atlas. And I had posted a similar video like this, but it was just very vague. But I want to talk about something that a user or a person on this TikTok brought up. It was a very interesting fact. They basically said how we all know that Bubba Atlas has autism and he loves rocks and pebbles and playing with all of that. Why didn't you take him? Like, if you know, it's the same thing as if you know your daughter likes Peppa Pig, but you take all your boys to go see Peppa Pig. Why? You're always excluding the boys, and I think it's because I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say it. I have a thought in my head. Go ahead and comment and tell me if you think you know what it is, but there is a reason. There is a reason. I might like it if you get it right. If you're saying what I'm thinking, but
Okay, deep breath, because the level of delusion packed into that one sentence, it deserves its own museum exhibit. First, calling Disri his bio mom instead of simply his mother? No, you guys, that is wild. Who even talks like that? Why is she speaking like Dishon has a rotation of mothers waiting backstage to swap in and out like a Broadway cast? The boy has one mother. One mother. Singular. There is no stepmom paperwork, no guardianship, no co-parenting contract with her name on it. But she insists on calling the actual mother the bio mom. Almost like she's branding herself as the other mother, like she's trying to wedge herself into a maternal role that doesn't exist and never will. It's giving delusional, LinkedIn job title energy, like she's trying to claim a position no one hired her for. Second, let's talk about this excuse. Besties, this wasn't an explanation. This was strategy. This was PR. This was the most oops, let me patch the hole before the internet notices type of excuse. She claims she had this museum outing saved months before the weekend schedule was set. Be serious. Does Stephanie look like the type of person who pre-plans anything months in advance? This woman couldn't even plan Thanksgiving dinner without turning the motel into a trauma bunker. She's not out here syncing museum calendars with custody calendars. Let's be real. And even if she couldn't film Dishon because of the court order, and that part is true, that still doesn't justify him missing every single outing. Why does he always conveniently disappear right when something fun happens? Why does every girl's day just so happens to fall on the weekends he's away? Why is every activity suddenly unavoidable when he's not around? Because it's patterned, it's predictable, and it's the oldest play in her book. She waits until he's gone, she does something nice with the girls, then she pulls out the bio mom excuse like it's a get out of criticism free card.
Before you go assuming I only take the girls places, Bubba's is fighting your cold, and this is Deshawn's bio's mom's weekend. I had this event saved well before her weekends were set up. Okay, it does not take you 8 months to set up a museum trip. Of course, I would have taken the boys along, but this is how it worked out today. God bless y'all. All I can say is that that's bullshit, because you have an EBT card. And in Portland, they have the Museum for All program, where if you present your EBT card, you only pay $3. So for you and the 3 kids, and Momo is free because she's an infant, that's less than $10. For you, Addie and Bella, because Momo's free because she's a baby, you paid $10. It does not take you months to plan a trip to the museum that costs only $10. Like it took you a year to save up for that stupid bubble gun. That's horrible. That's rage baiting.
It is intentional, it is recurring, and honestly, it is heartbreaking. And then there is Booba. Oh boy. She claims he was left behind because he had a cold. But let's rewind the tape real quick. She had just posted Baby Manova getting her nose suctioned with a nose Frida, pulling out enough snot to fill a science fair volcano. The baby was congested, wheezing, practically fighting for oxygen. So, how does that work? How does the baby with the cold get to go, but the toddler with the supposedly same cold has to stay home? Make it make sense. It doesn't, because it's not meant to. The truth is simple. She wanted the girls, not the boys. And the more you look at it, the darker it gets. If this had happened once, people might let it go. But this is a pattern so obvious that even casual viewers have pointed it out. Stephanie consistently favors her daughters. She took the girls shopping alone. She took the girls on a girls' day out. She left Booba behind. She left Dishon out because he wasn't home. She diagnoses Booba with autism, says he's in review, yet she neglects him the most. He's constantly overstimulated. He's constantly alone. He has a pacifier 24/7 because it's easier to ignore him that way. He has a pacifier 24/7 because it is easier to ignore him that way. He plays with rocks and sand by himself for hours. And the irony, the child loves rocks. A museum filled with rocks would have been a sensory dream for him. But she left him in the motel, just like she left him during the shopping trip, just like she left him during the sports day event, just like she leaves him every single morning during school drop-offs, where Baby Manova gets the back seat and Booba doesn't.
Reflection. But apparently Drew and A were not present at the Rocks. And second off, like, I'm gonna give it a tiny W. If it takes Stephanie needing to be in a competition that no one else is signed up for to actually take her children out of that dingy, dark hotbox fart room, so be it. I watched the video. The girls looked really happy. I personally, my favorite rock in the video was the one that was shaped like a butterfly. You know, they seemed to enjoy themselves. You know, I bet it was nice to breathe fresh air that isn't downwind from that dumpster. So, again, if it takes her needing to be in a competition with Dee's mom, where she isn't thought about in that household, so be it. If that's what it takes for her to actually engage with her children and take them out and do things that aren't picking the dumpster berries, we've got to let her do it for the kids. That's the goal, is that the kids are thriving. And if it involves Stephanie being weird, then let Stephanie be weird. But drop down below what your favorite rock was from the video.
This is the part that honestly makes you uncomfortable because the favoritism is not subtle, it is glaring. The boys don't get equal love, they don't get equal time, they don't get equal experiences. And that is not parenting, that is emotional neglect. Here's where things get messy, and honestly, this is the part where my brain just quietly packed its bags and walked out. Because out of nowhere, people start zooming into one of the museum photos and notice a reflection. A tall figure, a hoodie, a whole mystery man lingering in the glass like a Walmart ghost. And honestly, instantly the internet goes, is that Drew? And listen, if it actually was Drew, if he was right there in the museum, breathing the same museum air, admiring rocks instead of irresponsibilities, then who, and I mean who, was watching Atlas back at the motel? Because if both parents were gone, let's not even play. That would be insane. That would be reckless. That would be the kind of parenting traits that makes CPS sit up in their chair. Do I think they literally left a toddler alone in a motel room? No, I don't think even they are that catastrophically careless. But the fact that people even had to ask that question, the fact that viewers genuinely had to stop and wonder, wait, is he alone? That tells you everything about how chaotic, how inconsistent, how suspicious their whole parenting setup looks from the outside. Because here's the plot twist. If Drew was there, quietly holding off camera like he's in a witness protection, then Stephanie's entire story about him staying behind with Booba falls apart completely. So now we're left with two questions. Someone is lying or someone is hiding something. Either way, besties, the math is not mathing, not even a little. And then she posts again, because of course she does. This time it's a whole video, and the way she shifts into this soft sentimental tone, you'd think she had just taken her kids to Disneyland instead of free admission rock museum. She talks about how much she loved sharing the experience with her daughters, actually always the daughters. And then, with the confidence of someone who truly believes the internet has short-term memory loss, she announces that she hopes to take the boys in the summer. Summer, besties, summer. As in, far, far away, imaginary calendar land. As in, I'll do it when the stars align and excuses run out, the kind of summer. Like the boys are supposed to just sit in that tiny motel room watching their sisters go out again and again, like they're background characters in their own lives, waiting for Stephanie to feel inspired enough to include them. And then, oh my God, she makes sure to praise Drew because Stephanie will never miss an opportunity to sprinkle Drew flex on her storyline. She proudly mentions that he cleared the wheels before she left. Not the oil, not the tire pressure, not the engine. No, no, no. No, the wheels. Because apparently in Stephanie Land, wiping down the rims is the Olympic event of fatherhood. It is the peak of masculinity. It is the gold standard. Forget providing, forget showing up emotionally, forget being involved with all the kids. No, no, no. Just make sure the wheels sparkle. King. So glad he wiped the rims, besties. We're saved. It would be hilarious if he weren't so painfully sad because she's praising the bare minimum. Not just the bare minimum, the below minimum. Like it deserves applause. Tell me I'm not the only one who thinks this is heartbreaking because at this point I'm sitting here blinking into the void like, is anyone else seeing what I'm seeing or am I losing it? Because when you step back, truly take a step away from the excuses, the defensive comments, the soft filter captions she writes like she's the main character in a Pinterest court. It becomes painfully, brutally clear. These boys are being left behind, emotionally, socially, experientially. Not once, not twice, not occasionally, consistently. And meanwhile, the girls, they are uplifted, paraded, showcased like they're the front row of a magazine cover. They're given memories, outings, experiences, all documented, all praised, all neatly wrapped in captions about mommy moments. It makes you wonder what kind of long-term emotional impact this is brewing. Because children remember this stuff. They may forget what they ate last Tuesday, but they will never forget who included them and who did not. Imagine being a child and watching your siblings get experiences you never get. Watching your mother post online about how much she loves sharing memories while your own memories are an overstimulating motel room, a pacifier, and being told to stay behind again. Imagine knowing your joy is optional. Imagine realizing your siblings are the priority and you are the afterthought. This is the part that feels heavy, like genuinely heavy, because it's not just about a museum trip anymore. It's about a pattern that's shaping who these kids become. And that's what makes this whole thing so deeply uncomfortable. So now we're left with one big question. Will she ever actually take the boys? Or is this another promise that will dissolve the moment something free pops up again? Because from what we've seen, Stephanie's ready to take her kids anywhere except where they actually want to go. And honestly, I don't even know how to feel about that anymore. What do you guys think? Because this is one of the wildest, saddest, most confusing road trips I've seen online. And something tells me this story is not over.